Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jersey Comic Crew, your favorite comic book and pop culture podcast. As always, I am Rob Moran, and with me is...
Chris Heller.
And we got a great episode for you guys. We're going to talk about the news for the week in the world of comic books and pop culture, and comic book review or two. So make sure you pay attention to the description down below. Low chances of spoilers this week, but be mindful of what we do talk about.
Yes.
So, Chris, first off, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm tired and stressed from work and everything else, but I'm good.
Like this work or like other work?
Oh, all work. This work, the other work. It's just life in general. But I'm good. I'm happy to talk about our fun stuff.
Yes.
This is our therapy.
So, you want to hear something interesting?
Of course. I like interesting things.
It's about your Star Trek people. So, Star Trek Picard prequel novel and comic book has been announced to come out before the show.
What do you mean my Star Trek people?
Your Star Trek people. I'm not one of you.
You Star Trek people over there.
I mean, yeah, you stay over there.
Segregated Star Trek people.
I neither confirm nor deny my allegations of segregating Star Trek people on the show. All I can say is that there are comics coming out.
There's a huge fan base. But yes, there are comics coming out, as we talked about with our San Diego Comic-Con news.
Yeah.
The new Picard show is coming out. We watched the trailer on our Trailer Time. We got a lot of likes about the Trailer Time, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of people were like, I love Trailer Time. Like, this is awesome.
We're getting better at it.
We're getting better at it. It's a work in progress.
Wait, like next month we're going to be doing some crazy stuff.
Like what?
I can't tell you because...
But I'm a part of the show. I can't tell you. You have equal rights, but I get...
Some things are not privy to your information until they're ready.
Okay, you want to make it... you want to give a good sales pitch, per se.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And if it doesn't work... And then I'll figure it out.
We'll redo it. But yeah, so they have announced that they are doing a prequel novel, as well as comics that tell kind of Picard's story, like what he's been doing prior to the show starting.
So would you recommend these pickups, this novel and this comic, for people who may not be familiar with the Star Trek mythos to get into the Picard show?
I would definitely, if you are a fan or have seen episodes and always wanted to kind of learn about the Next Generation kind of cast in that time period of Star Trek, 100% I would pick this up.
Also, would you recommend this to somebody to read it?
She's going to make fun of it.
Yeah.
I can see it in your face.
To understand the characters, to better insult them.
100%. I mean, if you're that type of depravity involved, then you should totally spend your money, help this grow positively, and then make fun of it negatively.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. Sounds like the world we live in. But yeah, no, it's... he is one of the biggest characters in the franchise history, including the originals with like Bill Shatner and all them. He's the most famous and talked about captain.
I know him and Spock.
Yes, two different areas.
I know the different areas.
Yes. But yeah, Picard is probably the most famous and talked about captain in Star Trek history. So if you are a fan of the show or fan of Picard in general, this is definitely something you're going to want to pick up and probably get some canon knowledge before the might tie into stuff going on in the show.
Very good.
Yeah.
Some more announcements for you guys in the world of comic books. So Amazon, of all companies, has teased Annihilation Agenda as a big Marvel event in March 2020.
Yeah.
And the main reason we put this on here is because Amazon said it.
Yeah, it's
a little...
It's very odd, right?
Awkward, right?
Like, yeah, like...
Who are you?
Yeah, I know, like, they're Amazon. But Marvel usually... is very good about getting their especially events teased out there. But this definitely tells me like two things. One, if this is teased for 2020, this isn't the question mark event that Marvel had on their timeline in December.
True. So that negates one of our theories that what we thought was happening in December.
Yes.
Also, I'm assuming your second opinion was that Marvel and Amazon are having conversations.
There's some kind of cahoots going on.
Yes.
There's cahoots afoot.
Fun fact. Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, owns Comixology.
Yes, they do.
And Comixology, for a lot of you guys who don't buy physical copies and you want to buy digital, they're a great website to go to. Yeah, like me. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're trying to get a direct connection with that and just maybe incorporate some of Comixology into Marvel or vice versa.
I could see that being like a first step, considering
this is a very tin hat foil theory.
Totally, but like I could see that happening because like DC has their platform now with DC Universe where they could also release. You could purchase and read online comics in a digital format that's like very personal. Like you could do it on your big screen TV, you could do it wherever. Marvel obviously has it too, but not in the way that like DC kind of has that niche.
Yes.
Of comic reading and exposure. So if that's like maybe like a first step, like, hey, like we're having Amazon announce this, then we're going to kind of bleed this into a comics exposure, comicsology kind of thing.
I can see them working together. I mean, like,
it could be.
It's not uncommon for businesses to work together. We're seeing that now in the very popular movie franchises with Sony and Marvel. To get Spider-Man and bring all those characters into the world. So, like, maybe we can see them. I don't see Amazon buying out Disney. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No.
And I don't see Disney selling off Marvel either. So, like, I see this as a joint effort for a common goal.
Yeah. And
if our crazy 10 Hat theory is correct.
And again, this also could be just the basis of, like, Amazon's like, shit, we maybe put this on the solicits too soon. And it maybe was just a mess up and someone just put it up as a seller and someone was looking up Annihilation stories and it came up. I
mean, it also could be that Amazon wants to be known for their comic book and pop culture relevancy because of shows like The Boys, which is very good, which we'll talk about eventually. No,
I haven't seen it.
I just know it's very good.
I haven't started it yet. I want to watch it.
I actually picked up the book because I was going to read it before, and I was like, you always do this. You're going to wait till after you the book. So I'm going to wait.
Yeah, you're the opposite. You like to watch and then read it?
Yes.
I like to read it and then watch it.
I don't want to spoil myself because if I read like something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be trying to figure out everything.
See,
like, when are they going to do this?
I'm more of like the, I don't know, like not a classic.
Schnob.
No, I'm not a schnob. I don't know. I like to read the original source material, no matter what it is. So like if the original source material is a movie or a TV show, I like to watch it before reading something, and vice versa. Like if the original source material is a book, I like to read it before to get the original thought idea.
I get you, but I kind of like to go into it blind. And enjoy
the book line, enjoy like the surprises.
Enjoy what it is, and enjoy the surprises, and see what it is, and then read the original or watch the original source material to understand that world better and have a greater appreciation for the things they try to do.
Yeah.
And that way, if it's not as good as compared to the book, I'm not upset.
Hey, no wrong answer to this one, kids.
Correct.
Not at all. Also, you probably get, by reading it last, the stuff they took out of it in the TV show. But that also might suck because you're like, crap, why didn't they put this in? Like...
I'd rather that.
Either way.
I'd rather that after the fact, and I'll enjoy my time during it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, speaking of enjoying your time during it, this doesn't really work at all. But I enjoyed my time during Venom 1. I enjoyed it for whatever it is.
Did you?
I enjoyed my time.
I mean, that's good. That's good for you.
There was a lot of things that done wrong, but I enjoyed my time.
I enjoyed that scene where he is fighting all the army guys in the smoke.
That was good.
That was awesome.
He eat the canister.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome and in the Venom world, Andy Serkis has confirmed to direct Venom 2. Michelle Williams is also set to return as She-Venom.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully.
I don't want She-Venom, but we're getting She-Venom.
I mean, she wants more She-Venom in it, she stated.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, she wants to, like, you know, if you're in a superhero world, you're going to want to do something.
You gotta try to do it.
I don't know if we need more She-Venom.
No. We don't even, like...
She-Venom is cool looking, though.
She's... All right.
But
I want more Venom. I want us to focus on Venom and build him up. I don't want, like, you're already trying to have She-Venom. Like, bro, we don't even have Venom with Spider-Man, and now we're trying to get Carnage. I feel like they're trying to push too much symbiote.
Well, let's get clear. Let's make sure we're clear first.
All right, let's be clear.
We don't know if she's going to be She-Venom at all in this movie.
No.
We know she has stated by herself, without Andy Serkis or Sony or anyone else, saying that she would like more She-Venom.
Yes.
In Venom 2 or whatever the sequel's going to be named. We don't know this is confirmed.
Correct.
We're just saying for our views that, which I agree with you as well, I think they need to right the ship and get Venom correct first.
I don't think they're going to do another She-Venom.
Okay.
As a character, they might have a scene where the Venom symbiote goes to her to help her real quick again. I don't think they're going to do that trope. I think that they had it the one time. That was it. That was your nod. And then maybe down the road, she'll be She-Venom. Cool. But I think they're going to just focus on Eddie Brock, and they're going to focus on Carnage.
I think
and with Andy Serkis at the helm, that reassures me more. Andy Serkis, I believe in a lot of what he does. I think he's a great actor. I think he has a good mind, and his experience in the very successful franchises, some of that should have rubbed off.
I agree with you. I'm excited to see Andy Serkis confirmed and directing this movie because I don't know if he's directed a movie before. Or one that, definitely not this big that I would know that I know of off the top of my head.
I could agree with that.
I agree. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think especially with a movie like this where it's going to be multiple CGI effects with Eddie in the suit, whoever, like Carnage in the suit, all that stuff. You couldn't go to a better guy who knows that world, right? Like he knows the world of CGI, mocap, movement, motion.
He's been there for like the whole development of it
since Lord of the Rings. So I think that is really cool, and I also think he's kind of like awesome in the form of just like you said how he thinks. I think this will be an interesting take on Venom. I think it's gonna be badass. I hope they right the ship, especially bringing Carnage in there. You have a lot of expectations. So
I think I have a lot of confidence in this. You know what else I have confidence in? Our TV news segment. Yes. And in that TV news, we got to talk about the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths event.
It's going to be awesome.
So we already know our fan favorites are going to be in it. We know Arrow's in it.
Yep.
We know Flash is in it.
Yes,
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yep.
You know who else is going to be there? Oh, obviously Supergirl and everybody.
Superman. So we
know Superman.
Two Superman.
Yeah. One from Kingdom Come.
Yeah, hopefully. We have Brandon Rouse, which we talked about at San Diego, and Tyler Hoechlin is also coming back as Superman, as their CW version.
Guess who else is in it?
Who?
The Black Lightning.
Woo! Black Lightning.
I don't know how he's coming into this, but maybe this is the way he bridges the gap like Supergirl did, and we start seeing Black Lightning in this universe.
Here's a question for you before we talk about the last piece, which is the most exciting. One, awesome Black Lightning's in it.
About time.
Also interested how he's going to be thrown in there. How are they going to do this without Cisco's powers? Wasn't that the whole thing last time? How they bridged like through the they did the vibe thing and went through the parallel universes?
If you're not smart enough to realize that Cisco's going to get his powers back before this, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not saying that. I know he's going to get his powers back. My question is, why the fuck take him away in the first place when we all know they're coming back?
To give maybe some character growth, to like, oh, he has freedom, then like you give it back to him, and he's like, no, I have the powers again, and I guess I have to deal with them.
Damn it, I'm cool again. No,
terrible CW writing on the subject.
Yes, oh god,
maybe
I don't want to be cool.
That could be it.
Oh man,
maybe he wanted to be cool with a certain Frost person.
I mean, I would like to see. Personally, on the Flash side of things, I would like to see them kind of mainstream it a little more and focus more on Barry than kind of the ensemble.
Yeah.
I think they've fallen guilty to that. That's, to me, what kind of killed Arrow in the first place. I think if they focused more on Barry Allen and made it like a singular story, kind of the way they do Batman and Superman all the time with those stories.
You know what we're going to get? Because Black Lightning's in this, we're going to have a double lightning bolt. We're going to have Flash running around, throw a lightning bolt, and Black Lightning's going to throw his lightning, and it's going to be a cool lightning combo.
And it's going to be like, because one's blue and one's red, and it's going to be purple and like...
Oh, I was just thinking like...
Do we get
like
Nora from a different world in this?
Sure.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, we might see Nora. She's like blonde or something.
What if Iris has relations with Black Lightning, gets Nora?
Ooh, that's... Man, you starting some shit. Don't be Jerry Springer in that, man.
I'll be Jerry Springer in it.
You starting it.
That's how they get the purple lightning. You always wonder why it was purple?
Hey,
now
man.
We know.
Hey, man. You starting some weird stuff, man.
All right.
Barry going to have to mess up Black Lightning now. Or Black Lightning's going to have to mess up Barry Allen now.
More news from the CW Crisis on Infinite Earth event. So, Batman, Bruce Wayne, is going to be in this event. Cool. You know, it's even cooler. It's Kevin Conroy. Yes, the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series, from multiple movies, the iconic Batman voice, just like Mark Hamill is the iconic Joker voice.
My Batman.
He's going to be in this. I think this is going to be great. I think now this CW Crisis event,
it's going to be bigger than anything. It's going to be nuts.
I don't even care if it sucks.
Neither do I.
Just keep throwing other people from this.
Oh, you know what I think?
Get Wonder Woman in this. Get everybody.
By the way, so...
Get Lou Ferrigno. I don't even care. He's not even in this world. He's Marvel. But get the Hulk in this. Throw everybody in this. Throw Chris Evans in this.
The Ferrigs.
Throw everybody. They're like, what is the Marvel Universe doing here?
All right, so the fact that, first of all, congratulations to Kevin Conroy. 100%.
No,
not you.
I know.
You're not in this event.
I could be.
Could be hot dog stand guy number one.
I would
totally do it. Yeah. Oh, hands out.
Give them a hot dog. Here's your hot dog, Batman.
It's like Bruce Wayne just eating hot dog. But Kevin Conroy, also congratulations. The man has been the voice of Batman for over 20 years.
Wow.
I believe.
Yeah.
And to finally be put into a Batman project in a live action, like that has to be the craziest ride of emotions for him right now. And also, like, a whole different aspect, right? Like, he could, most of the time, he's just sitting behind a voice modulator going, Alfred, you know, like doing it, which I can't mimic that voice because no one can. Alfred. He's so, like, he is my Batman to the point where, like, people don't, like, get it when they, like, when I tell people, like, oh, like, name your favorite Batmans. He's not even on the list because people forget he was Batman from the animated series, right? They just go straight to the live action. When I mention them, they're like, oh, yeah, like, oh, my God, I loved him. He's my Batman, meaning, like, not just on TV. When, like, so me and Rob talk about this all the time. When you read a comic book, when you're uber comic fans like us and you read the characters, you hear certain voices of those characters.
Not all the time, but you do.
Not all the time. But for me, when I read Batman, I hear Kevin Conroy's voice. When I read the Joker in Batman stories, I hear Mark Hamill's voice.
That one is the first one in comics that I think when I was reading, I heard the voice, and I was like, oh, wow. It brings a new layer.
It does. And it adds to the story a way that's so much more personal. Robert Downey Jr. has done that for me, for Iron Man, when I read it.
Yes, now yes.
Hands down.
Question, sidetracking. You ever read a character in your own voice? As in, like, every time you read a character, like, you like, that's your voice in that character, not like you're just reading?
Yes.
Who?
I believe for a while back in the 90s, Peter Parker. Because I was at that age where in the comics our age matched when we were in high school, before he like graduated and went to like college. So I think that's also something when your age matches like clearly and you relate to what's going on easily, that helps.
Okay.
Jimmy Olsen for a while. I had my own voice in. Yeah, talking to Superman. I was Jimmy Olsen for a while. Dick Grayson before he became Nightwing.
Okay.
Talking to Batman, sometimes I put my voice in, but Lauren Lester is so good also on the Batman animated series, it turned into that. But yeah, a couple of those, and probably like if I'm reading random human characters that are like male, sometimes I'll just read it as my voice. But like if they look like really like New York, I'll put a New York accent in my head in there.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like if they have, or like the words are written in some weird accent, I'll do the accent in my head.
Do you do the S's when the lizard is right in the slippery?
I do, yes. I'm a total nerd, yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I am nerd to no return.
To answer my own question, the only person I do is Bobby Iceman. Because it's the same name.
Yep.
That's literally what it is. Same name. He likes ice. I like ice. He's funny. I find it's part why I like him.
He's gay. Rob's gay. You know the whole thing.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Oh, I'm so disappointed now.
I'm sorry.
Thought we were adding more diversity to the show. I guess not.
We're
just boring.
I'm just who I am. And there's no shame of being whoever you want to be.
No, but Bobby is also. I could see anyone kind of putting their voice into Bobby. One, because
Bobby's awesome.
Well, I think it was Aaron or Sean Ashmore, one of the twins, played him in the movies.
Okay.
But he wasn't in the movie enough to have that voice be remembered so that you read him as that. Mm-hmm. The cartoon series, same thing. Like, the 90s cartoon is my Wolverine, surprisingly not Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Like that more growly, like...
Yeah, Hugh Jackman is not my Wolverine.
Like, he's my Wolverine, but the voice I read as is the cartoon, hardcore, like, cigar-smoking Wolverine.
Gotcha.
Same with Magneto, same with Professor X. Like, all those X-Men characters are the 90s cartoon, except for Bobby, because he wasn't in as much.
We got to get back to the main topic.
Yes, but anyway...
So, Kevin Conroy?
Yes.
As Batman?
Amazing.
I think it's fantastic.
Is he older, or, like... He's got to be, like,
older.
So, is he a...
Batman Beyond?
Batman Beyond,
yes. Yes, 100%.
So,
100%.
By that logic...
Yes.
Just yes to everything before I say it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're getting this, by that logic, who I will be seeing next week at Boston Comic Con.
Who?
Will Friedle, who is the voice of Terry McGinnis.
He's in it.
Are we going to get an announcement that Terry McGinnis, Will Friedle, is going to come in as Terry McGinnis?
You heard it here first. It's fact. I'm making it happen.
I'm seeing him next week. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to shake him until he tells me. Come here, Eric. He was in Boy Meets World.
Who doesn't know Boy Meets World?
Younger kids. Anyone born in like year 2000 on?
No, they watched it. They watched Friends.
They're all 18 now.
Yeah, but they watch Friends. They watch that.
I don't know. Boy Meets World's a little more niche than Friends. Friends is way more popular.
I think Boy Meets World might be the better show.
Well, Boy Meets World's definitely the better show. It's not even an argument. I'm not a Friends fan, so anything to me is better than Friends.
Oh, Friends is... All right.
I'm sorry, dude. I don't care about 6 white people and their boring problems. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Just talk about the X-Men. He's not being, but not this week.
But no, wait. But before we go,
okay.
Before we change topics,
Before we go, I'm ready.
So this Kevin Conroy thing is amazing. Probably going to get an older Bruce Wayne in that, like maybe right before he becomes like going into the Batman Beyond
He's
section.
He's going to beat somebody with a cane.
That, or maybe we might see him in a suit. Like maybe it's like I think it might be a little Dark Knight Returns esque.
Oh,
because Kevin Conroy is older, but he's not old.
He's not doing Dark Knight Returns.
Too brutal.
It's too reminiscent of the DC universe.
Also,
TV show, movies.
I think the best part about this is we're going to get the voice and the face at the same time. Like, this is something we've dreamed about for years.
I'm having my cake and I'm eating it, and I'm getting fatter, and it's fantastic.
And it's amazing. But my other question is, do we get any other characters?
Yes.
No, in all seriousness, like, so last year they played the Smallville music, but they focused on Tyler Hoechlin's Superman.
We're not.
That, like, it was the worst, like, F you, like, like the emotional rise and fall. Do we at least get Michael Rosenbaum? Who they were both going to be at Boston, but I'm not going to. They canceled.
No, we don't get those two.
I just want someone from Smallville to show up.
You'll get the dog.
I don't think there was a dog in Smallville.
Is there a cat? Is it like a stray cat?
I mean, there's a dog in Smallville, but he's not Crypto.
Yeah, just a random dog.
Yeah, he's a golden retriever.
He's in it. Deep cut.
Do we get John Schneider as Jonathan Kent? That'd be amazing. Like Pa Kent. Or are they dead in this world?
I think they're dead in this world.
Are they? Maybe. I don't know. They played the music and then it wasn't them, and I was like, ah!
I still enjoyed it. I was like,
It's like thinking someone hit a home run and it goes foul. It's like, But anyway, I digress.
Speaking of the words that start with D, as it digress, in Disney news.
Let's pull another out of the Segway pot and see what we find.
Disney has to confirm that they're going to have a package with their streaming services.
Yes.
So we're going to have Disney Plus, Hulu, and then ESPN Plus, all for $12.99 a month. So that is a whole boatload of content. It's not confirmed whether you could get just two of these for a lower discount. Mm-hmm. Some people might just want Disney and ESPN. Some people might just want Disney and Hulu.
And some monsters might want Hulu and ESPN.
Monsters.
And some mongoloids. But
I'm part of the mongoloids that just want Disney and Hulu. I don't care about ESPN.
Well, you're great. I love the ESPN content.
I know you do.
30 for 30. I love. They're all, for those of you who don't know, those are all documentaries on major sports figures.
Is it in 30 minutes?
No, it's just called 30 for 30. It's usually like an hour and a half to 2 hours, like a full documentary about, like, you know, some of the most famous times in sports history, players, things like that. And it goes from like the beginning to like current. But yeah, they have ESPN Plus has been popping new shows. Like Peyton Manning has like a quarterback show.
Do you have ESPN Plus?
I don't.
So now with this, since you are a big comic fan, entertainment fan, and sports fan, I'm assuming this package appeals to you and you're going to get it?
Yes and no, because...
Yes and no what?
Yes and no, because Hulu I have already.
But you could just cancel your subscription and do this.
But that's the thing, like, we share. So, like, a friend of mine has our HBO and we get their Hulu. Like, we trade off certain things.
Oh, so what are you going to do?
But, I mean, like, if we get the package, I'm not against it, because, like, one, it's a great price. That's the same price as Netflix by itself.
True.
So, like, just when I thought Disney Plus, like, couldn't get any better with the content, like, they come out with this, and I'm like, oh, this is... To me, this is also answering HBO Max.
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
Well, like, with the amount of things they just, like, grabbed and put into HBO
Disney
Max.
Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, is $7, $6.99 a month, just by itself.
I think it's $7.99.
$7.99. So $8. So arguably another $5 more, and you get these two? And
they also have an option, I think, on Disney Plus for a yearly subscription that you end up saving, I think, like $10 or $20.
Oh.
So I think it's going to be like, it's like $7.99 a month, or it's like $80 for the year or something like that.
Ooh.
That's
worth it.
Which is like a third or like half the price of Amazon Prime now. So Amazon Prime's like $130, I think.
If you get HBO Max, you get Amazon Prime? That has nothing to do with this.
No, it's nothing to do with it.
Why did I say that?
So if you have HBO already
you get,
in your cable package,
yes,
and HBO Go, which is their streaming service, you do not have to pay for HBO Max. That will come with your already paying for HBO and your cable or whatever separately.
Okay.
So that will already be included. Everything else, as far as like Hulu, we knew was Disney was going to do something with it, right?
Yeah, we know that there's going to be content
because they had the most stock when they bought Fox and all that stuff.
And we know they're going to have the Hellstrom show there.
Yes,
we know they're going to have the Ghost Rider show,
which I really
they're going to have a couple adult animated shows. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have a good source of content. That's going to be for their harder content, the darker content,
and it's also the home for stuff that Fox had, like Family Guy and Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. Hulu was already the home for that, so they don't have to put that as like a Disney. They can still keep it together and separated. I think it's a great idea.
I think I like this. Mm-hmm. If there's no combo pack with just the two, I might just pick this up and have ESPN and then just watch sports games once in a blue moon.
Well, like the documentaries, I like those are worth it. Those are awesome. And some of the shows that I really want to check out, like they do a Peyton Manning one where he goes around like different cities and talks to different like quarterbacks and
insurance.
Sells insurance, yeah. And he does like an in-depth quarterback like look in the football season, so that's pretty cool.
Dope.
So yeah, ESPN Plus is starting to make new shows and content. Kobe Bryant has a show too with basketball. Cool. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I can't not see people just like loving that to death. Great job, Disney.
Speaking of death, the end of Swamp Thing season 1. Season 1 has officially ended, but there's a possibility that the show may not be over. And what we're talking about that is that there's an after credit scene for the show that left the world wide open.
Wide open.
So I actually did not finish this episode, and for you guys, I'm gonna let Chris spoil it. The end for me.
Oh no!
I
don't like spoiling things.
Or you can spoil the after credit scene.
Okay, so I'll spoil it, but not spoil it at the same time.
So just as a reminder, the show was supposed to be till 10 episodes.
It's supposed to be 13.
13, sorry.
Yeah.
They cut it back, but they still left it open.
Yeah, they cut it back to 10.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers told them, like, hey, halt production, halt everything, stop what you're doing, wrap the show up. And basically they're like, hey, we're on episode 10 of 13. They're like, finish it up. That's it.
Yeah.
We're done. Which was heartbreaking because this was probably the show me and Rob were most excited for.
I really like it.
The last episode was very much... You were very much able to tell that they had to wrap shit up.
Yeah.
All the storylines had to come into like this rushed halt with Blue Devil.
They were sowing the seeds with the Blue Devil nice and slow, and it felt really good.
And then it was just like, all right, got him done. On to the next characters we need to wrap up.
Okay.
All the characters wrapped up very quickly. The ending was very, in my opinion, anticlimactic and very rushed.
Okay.
This whole Abby and Swamp Thing love, not in love kind of rushed romance was really come to a halt there in a way that was like she wants to stay and continue to help. And the one brilliant thing they did was Swamp Thing realizes that he's not Alec Holland in that Alan Moore sense.
Okay.
Where he realizes that he's a plant with
the memories,
the consciousness of a human, not a human fused with plants.
Okay, cool.
So they actually did that, and I was like, oh yes. Like, so they give him that arc, which is like 2 episodes, like it's like 7 or 8 or 8 or 9, where he's dealing with that. And he goes into the swamp and pulls out the bone remains of Alec Holland.
So we see that.
We see that iconic shot, and he shows it to Abby. And he's like, "This is Alec Holland. I'm not Alec."
So what is the after credit scene? Let's just jump to that.
Let's jump to it. The after credit scene is basically Jason Woodrue gets arrested for the tests he is doing. He basically ties his wife up, who is dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's, and she's like losing her memory. She OD'd on her pills by accident, and kind of goes like brain dead, but he keeps her alive. So he captures Swamp Thing and takes all his like quote unquote bodily organs out of him, and he's like basically cooking them as food to enrich the nutrients and trying to feed them to her so that
weird.
So that it'll fix her brain.
This is the after credit scene?
This is the end that explains the after credit scene. So he eats it himself to show her like everything's going to be great and fine, and he like has like a fit on the floor. Cut to the after credit scene. He gets arrested after he like captures Abby too. He's in jail. The son of the precinct chief, Matt, was in the hospital. He comes out. He goes to the precinct looking for his mother, and he's like, there's plants everywhere, and it's like this, like all the way through a cell, and he turns around with a flashlight, and we see Jason Woodrue as the Floronic Man, as like total bark, like total body in bark, totally like covered in like the tree bark and like very Groot-esque, but like still the voice, still him, and he's like Dr. Woodrue, and he's like, I was Dr. Woodrue, and then you hear this scream, and you hear the gunshots, and you hear the roar of the Floronic Man, and it ends.
Oh, that's terrible.
So
they set it up for
They set it up for season 2 to be Floronic Man,
and actually like
and go in depth with the green, and go in depth with like the psychosis of how does this plant think it's a human, and how does it cope with that, and how does he have the memories of Alec Holland and this relationship with a human being,
an actual villain that like Swamp Thing could fight and go up against physically.
Yes,
that was like the only aspect of the show that was really missing.
Yes, so that was going to be season 2. They've said it's done, like not gonna have another season per se, but I wonder with HBO Max and Doom Patrol being both on HBO Max, we know Doom Patrol's getting a season 2.
Yes,
it'll be on HBO Max, and
Titans
DC.
is getting a season 2.
Titans getting season 2 very soon too, which I'm very excited
Mind you,
about.
we're gonna have a trailer time episode separately from this. Stay tuned in a day or two.
Titans,
it'll be dropping
season 2 in your face.
Yes,
all that good stuff. But yeah, like with all these shows getting season 2s, I get it. Like we talked about this too, right? Like the set for Swamp Thing was insane. Mm-hmm. They built the swamp. They had like, you know, a pool of 5-foot murky water, and they were doing all this underwater stuff. You can't really just like store that somewhere for 9 months out of the year.
Yeah,
right?
it's hard. You got to rebuild it.
Exactly. So like my question is, do you think HBO Max, now that this is announced and now that Warner Brothers is enticing all of that into one, is that going to be what we see Swamp Thing get revived in, maybe a season 2?
It could be. It very well could be. It is expensive. It's really how big the public outcry is going to be. Mm-hmm. And with HBO Max still in murky water itself, no pun intended.
I like that.
We're not really sure where the app is going or what the actual situation of that's going to be. I think we have to wait for more details with that, and then fans are going to have to be like, hey, wait. Oh, Doom Patrol's coming on? Okay, cool. What about Swamp Thing? You getting Stargirl? Forget Stargirl. Let's get Swamp Thing.
I'm excited for Stargirl.
I'd rather Swamp Thing. But
Stargirl will introduce, hopefully, the JSA live action.
I understand, but Swamp Thing.
I love Stargirl. Courtney Whitmore. Woo! All
right, so moving on to some more streaming news in the world of Netflix. So Netflix has won the quote-unquote bidding war for Game of Thrones writers David Benioff and D.B. Weiss for an exclusive contract somewhere in the 9 figures realm. So they're going to be creating exclusive content writing for Netflix. Now, before the end of Game of Thrones, I think everybody would have lost their minds for this news.
Yes.
I think even after the sloppy end of Game of Thrones Season 8, I think people are still going to appreciate this news. They're still going to have good character writing on this. I think it's very interesting.
And I don't think they're solely to blame for the ending of the show.
No, they just get a brunt of it.
Yeah, like, you know, the company was like, we have to wrap this up, do this, cut it out. Like doesn't matter, don't open storylines. Like that wasn't their natural progression of things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is big because like the last couple of months have been Disney Plus, HBO Max, you know, content for these, content being taken out of Netflix. You know, this is the last Marvel movie we're going to see on Netflix. This is the last this. All this content being taken out. And really, every time I turn on Netflix, it's either like I'm watching an older show or I'm watching like, hey, waiting for Stranger Things to come back.
I finished Orange is the New Black the last season, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I never watched that show.
I know you didn't.
Yeah. How was it?
It was a good
It's
ending.
over?
Over.
Oh, okay.
Season
and that was big content for them too.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of wondering what this entire content is going to be for Netflix now that, you know, Netflix has kind of been on like the whoa, like, hey, we kind of got, what are we doing and where are we going to go? This is a huge
and even
win for
Amazon
them.
is getting like these indie comic titles that are doing well, and we're like, oh crap, what am I going to do?
Yeah, and like we know, I think like Netflix bought the Miller universe, the Mark Miller universe, so like Kick-Ass and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that eventually is going to come to fruition, but for them to win a bid like this and to win like arguably the two, like everyone's sought after them, like the runner-up, even Apple TV was in this. Warner Brothers, Disney.
What does Apple do? Stop it, Apple.
I don't know what that.
Does Apple make any content that we?
They're
know
making content currently. When they announced the Apple TV stuff, and they're currently starting to make content. I don't know.
I haven't done any research on Apple content.
But yeah, like Amazon has its own thing. Amazon, I think is the unique one, right? It's mostly for shipping. That
Amazon was in
shipping.
this, right?
Amazon was in this, yeah. And they have the Lord of the Rings contract.
If Amazon, I kind of wish Amazon took this, put them on Lord of the Rings.
They already have the showrunners on there.
All right.
That would been. I get it though. That would have been really cool.
Saying?
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe they're gonna do. I mean, we know Witcher's coming out for Netflix.
That is true. That's gonna be very big.
So we don't know what the content is yet. We don't even know what the figure is yet. We just know it's in the 9 digits. So I'm guessing at least $100 million each, which is $200 million that Netflix just gave to them.
A year, right, or something?
I have no idea. It could be a long-term contract. It's probably a long-term contract.
Yeah, 100 to 100 million, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think this is a big win for Netflix saying, like, listen, we're still here.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere.
Yes.
We know our job just got harder, but we're taking that head on, and we're going to fight this.
This keeps them relevant in the pop culture atmosphere. Like, oh, hey, we got these huge guys. Remember Game of Thrones? We have them exclusively to us. Kind of like how comic writers have, like, artists and writers, comic companies, have these writers and artists directly to them exclusively. This is going to keep them level for a little bit.
Totally.
All right, Chris, and fellow viewers at home or listening in your car, we have to talk about comic book breakdown. We're going to talk about 2 comic books here that go hand in hand together, House of X and Powers of 10.
Yes.
So this is the restart, the recreation of the X-Men mythology in Marvel, setting a new status quo for what they are going to be in the universe.
Yes, sir.
Now, I asked you this off air, and I stopped you before you answered. Mm-hmm. I'm asking this now. Between House of X and Powers of X.
Powers of 10.
Powers of 10.
I know, it's hard. It's so hard. I mess it up all the time.
All right. And House of X and Powers of 10, which one of these 2 is your favorite? No, we're not going into why, because we're going to talk about the books. But
just for number ones?
Just number 1, which one is your favorite issue? If you had to pick between the 2.
Man, they're both so good. I'm leaning towards House of X.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, like I'm leaning towards House of X at the moment.
I'm going to say strongly House of X.
Yeah.
Powers of 10 I liked, but not as much, and I thought it was... But it's very world building, so you can't
They're both
judge
extremely world building.
So let's start with House of X, because that came out first.
Yep. And they're both connected, so like you need both books to read the full story. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is massive. This isn't just massive in the way we say like, hey, this comic has a lot of scope and it's going to change things. No, this is world building. There are pages in these books that aren't comic books. It is like paragraph writings explaining what's going on and explaining this world building. We get maps.
Yes.
Almost like Lord of the Rings sized maps of the world that they live in and where.
How do you pronounce the new name?
Krakoa.
Krakoa.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a weird name.
It is. It's Krakoa, I believe. Krakoa.
We also get in there like what certain agency does. So like what is AIM? What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
One thing I loved in here, they outlined the definition of exactly what an Omega level mutant is.
Yes.
And
thank you.
What kind of power set you need to be considered. My boy Iceman made the cut.
He did, happy. And he should have. He should have in the beginning because like his ice power really knows no end, and we've seen like the future where he's like a hulking monster and a wizard and like all this crazy
like hulks of ice.
Yeah, and he has like doppelganger stuff, like almost like multiple man, but ice titans. Like he should be an Omega level mutant.
Makes sense.
Man.
So in this one, Krakoa.
Come
on, Krakoa.
Yep.
Is this mutant safe haven? There's portals throughout the world, and our mutants, only mutants, could walk through them. Humans can walk through them if they're invited or alongside another mutant.
Yes.
So that already I could see foreshadowing that either a villain or a regular hero or a civilian is going to capture a mutant and sneak in and cause some trouble. I already see that, which I'm already down for.
Yeah, and we kind of got that tease, right? So in House of X, we have Xavier inviting these world leaders and government officials into Krakoa to be like, listen, this is our safe haven. This is our space. We're inviting you here to see that it's peaceful and we're living here happily and we don't want to be bothered.
And speaking of Xavier, so Xavier offers these like 3 miracle drugs to any country that validates the existence of the mutant like countryside or like their own people.
And one of them is like, isn't it like almost like the cure for cancer or something?
So one is just essentially the cure for all cancer. One gives you 5 more years of your life somehow. And another one, I think, makes you more intelligent, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So, whatever it is, 3 insanely miracle drugs that anybody would die for. And it kind of makes sense. The mutants, if they want to establish themselves as their own country, need some economic value. So, like, this book ties in the economics. Like, oh, if you want this, we'll give you this. And it makes sense because the mutants have these extraordinary abilities.
Yep.
They could do stuff like this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not to this extent, but maybe it's a lie. We don't know. We're just spoon-fed this information, and at this point, with only reading issues 1 of each book, we kind of just have to accept it.
Yeah, and it's you're 100% correct, and it's just so massive, and like this is like a $6-7 book. So this is not like your regular 30-page, comic. This is like a 65, 63 pager.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of content and it's a lot to soak in. It's very different in a good way.
Yes. It does. I warn you though, before you read this, I mean, obviously you're listening and there's going to be spoilers. When you do read this, take your time.
Yeah.
And you may even have to read it twice to fully appreciate the book. Now, I know that might turn off some of you, but it is worth the read, especially for this book. It is worth the read. And I'm sure by the end of this story, when we look at the series as a whole, this miniseries for the 2, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and House of X is very much the present, right? Like that's what's going on right now in our timeline of X-Men. Powers of 10 is more of past, present, and 2 futures.
Yeah, so it's I was thinking about it, and I was reading some reviews, and the Powers of 10 is kind of like the exponent. So it's 1, so it's like a year in the past. Then it's present day, which is like 10-0.
Yep.
Then it's 10 years in the future, and then 100 years. No,
100 years and 1,000.
It's 100 years, 1,000 present, and then in the past.
Yep.
So we kind of follow 4 stories, which made this book a little harder to read. I still enjoyed it, just not as much as I thoroughly enjoyed the first one.
I loved the first half of this book, which is why it was tough for me to decide.
Yes.
The first half of the pass with Charles Xavier in the park, and that whole scene where he's talking to, what's her face? Oh my God, I can't believe I blanked on her name.
I did too.
You're all screaming at me over a computer right now, and you deservedly so need to scream at me. It'll come back to me. But they're having the conversation, and she goes in the mine, and she's like, talking to him, and then it opens up into this other like worldly stuff. That to me was like brilliant Hickman writing, planting the seed of what is going to happen.
This book did a very good job with the 4 different stories, and especially with the 100 years in the future and the 1,000, create a sense of urgency with the situation. We know the situation gets dire as the future progresses for the mutant race, and obviously for, I'm assuming, all of humanity. But in the short amount of time and the short amount of pages and panels that we get with each of these stories, the art and writing was done in such a way that you're drawn in. Like there are stakes, whether or not you really care for these characters. You're at least curious to see what's going on, especially in the future. So I understand, and I'm with you on that. The future aspect, because it's so vague, and it's just a number 1.
Yeah.
You're just setting it up, but really, really don't understand the world. Again, this book does have paragraphs and maps and all this kind of stuff that you have to read, whether reading at the same time or reading
genetic
after
code.
Correct.
It was
a lot of it we do not understand now, and I'm very confident by
and we're
the
not
end,
supposed to.
Yeah. By the end, we are going to. Like, I think these are all dropping little seeds, and it's almost like a mystery for us to figure out.
Well, you want to hear something cool? So, when you go to the comic store and you bought Powers of 10 number 1, they had a promo. You actually get seeds. They give you a little packet they call Croco Seeds, and if you plant them, they will grow into the flowers that you see on the page. the ones that Xavier talks about with like the serums and everything.
No.
Yeah, I have them in my room. There's an actual packet, and it's called Croco.
Why did you not bring it out? We could show and tell.
We can show and tell. I mean, I have them in there.
All right, give us 2 seconds. We're gonna grab them.
I mean, there's probably gonna be a picture of them here. Anyway.
No, we're gonna do some cutting and editing. Hold on, ready?
You want me to grab them?
3, 2, 1. And we're back with the power of editing. It took no time at all. He teleported in his room, teleported back, and what do you have in your hands?
Yeah, these are so like when you go buy Powers of 10 #1, they give you like a little pack of Croco Seeds.
Wait, let me bring
and they give you the Croco Seeds. So like that's crazy cool like promo.
That is pretty dope.
And they give you like it's supposed to be like I said the flower that grows on Krakoa that's like part of this like rejuvenation of the mutants and everything. So I'm just gonna move these back over here so Rob just doesn't take them home.
I mean,
Rob's been known to like secretly pack things away in his bag.
Which
are mine.
Let you know that I did that.
That is
on the
true.
Way out.
It is true. He's always like, okay, thanks, I'm taking this.
Yeah, it's a joke. Funny. I would take the seeds because I have a complaint theme.
Yes. He's just, seeds? I'm just going to eat these.
I'm not going to eat the seeds.
But yeah, they actually grow into flowers if you plant them.
Bachelor's buttons. That's the name,
yep.
I guess. I'm going to see if I go buy some, like actual, like plants.
Yeah. Like so it's mad cool. What a great way to promote a book.
That is pretty cool.
And like making it real world stuff. So yeah, like you were saying.
See, there are benefits to buying physical, guys.
Yeah, man. That's not buy physical. But yeah, the aspect of Powers of 10, I will admit, was a little more confusing than House of X.
Yes, because there's like mutants that we don't know of, and then there's mutants that have been experimented on, and
genetically enhanced, and
they trusted Dr. Sinister to create mutants, and it worked for a little bit, and then it killed a lot of them off. And like these super strong mutants have like a passive gene; they can't even fight if they wanted to, or something strange. So, I think we both can agree we recommend these books.
Yeah,
but. With a bit of salt, bit of warning, take your time with it, especially Powers of 10, because it's going to tell you X0, X1, X10, X100. Like, it's going to give you...
Yeah, it's like X to the power of 0 is the past.
Yes.
X1
is today.
Is present. X squared is 100 years, and X to the power of 3 is 1,000 years.
Correct.
They will kind of tell you where everything is. I do have a few questions that I know we're probably going to get answered.
Well, answer them, and maybe I will tell you the answer.
So, yes, Hickman incarnate over here. So, question number 1 would be...
Maybe it was my idea for the seeds. That's some dumb shit I would do. I would like, give them seeds. What? Of the plants. Give them
Croco seeds. No, man, that's hard to... to me, that's hard to think of. Like,
really?
it's one of those obvious things that's hard to think of.
They give them the plants
to do the seeds like that?
You just need somebody crazy like me and you good.
Yeah.
It's comic writers. They're all like that.
If you take...
All right.
If you look at Xavier...
Yeah.
He's been standing up. He's been walking around. He has the helmet on his head. We haven't really seen his face.
Okay.
Is this still the Xavier that fused with Fantomex back in Astonishing X-Men? Or is this something different?
I think so. But I think Krakoa created a body for him, and he's walking around. That thing on his head, I think, is a mobile and portable cerebro.
I think so too.
And in the fact of not enhancing his powers to reach other people, to enhance his powers of maneuvering his body, I think he's using like telekinesis to move his body.
Interesting.
I think he can still be paralyzed, and they got that out. Like, I know it doesn't make sense if they create a new body. Why would he be paralyzed? But it's comics. They can do that. And then, like, when they remove the helmet, he's back in a chair, so we get old Xavier back.
He looks like David Hasselhoff.
Yeah. But it's probably more logical that it's still Fantomex.
I think so. I mean, they kind of have to explain that out of it. I mean, Hickman doesn't have to, but...
Also, Fantomex and the cloning Xavier in a clone body of Fantomex is a little bit of a deep cut, if you will. It's a little convoluted. If you want people to get into this, like Powers of X and House of X,
Powers of 10, House of X.
I did it again.
I know it's tough. It's tough.
And House of X, there's supposed to be a jumping on point. It's still very convoluted, but like all you really know is need to know background information on these characters. Yeah. So for them to keep Fantomex's body, I think is going to deter some people. You see what I'm saying?
Interesting. Okay. I think, all right, question number 2.
Yeah.
what won the battle for me with House of X and Powers of 10 was the end of House of X. Where
Magneto says, I'm your god now?
Oh, sorry. Almost the end of House of X. But yes, that was total badass awesome.
Fantastic.
When Cyclops is in New York talking to the Fantastic Four.
That scene was beautiful. I'm glad we didn't skip over that scene.
Yeah, no, that's a scene that needs to be talked about. There's been a lot of talk online about it as well.
Okay. I'm assuming both good and bad.
No, like speculative. Not even either or, just speculative.
Okay.
So basically, no, go ahead.
I was going to explain the scene.
Yeah.
So we have Mystique, Sabretooth, and Toad breaking into some facility. They get out. They're on the run. The Fantastic Four stop them. They get in a small fight. Capture Sabretooth. The other mutants run into a portal to Krakoa, and we see somebody coming out, and it's Cyclops. Mm-hmm. Now, like many of you who are reading this, and myself, tension built up a little bit, because we know Cyclops, you know, there was the Avengers versus X-Men. We know Cyclops is not afraid to fight. He came in very diplomatically. He's like, I need you to release the prisoner to us. And then Johnny Storm's eloquently put, nah, man, we captured him. What are you talking about?
He's our prisoner.
So they were talking about this back and forth, and then Cyclops pretty much was like, you know what? Keep him. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll settle this later. Just letting you know that you're not being, sum it up, you're not pushing this around anymore. We are on, people. How long did you think this was going to last?
Yep.
And then he walked away. So a power move, a respectable power move.
Yep.
Let them keep Sabretooth as a prisoner, and then left. Wow, that was good, powerful.
That was good.
So what's your speculation with that? I don't even know what to speculate with that. I just took it at face value. I'm like, all right, he's swinging. That's some big dick energy.
Because the speculation is what you forgot to mention.
What did I forget to mention?
So as Cyclops leaves, he's talking to Susan Storm, and he goes, he's like, "Hey, Sue," and she's like, "Hey, Scott, how you been?" And he's like, "Good." He goes, "How are the kids?" "Good." He goes, "By the way," he goes, "tell Franklin that if he ever wants to come home, we always have a spot for him." Because
Franklin Richards is an Omega level mutant.
Is technically a mutant, yes.
Because he could create worlds and galaxies and stuff like that.
Yes.
They're going to try to...
To me, he's going to be the new Legion.
Franklin's going to be new Legion.
Without going insane.
As in, like, that super overpowered
character? Omega level. Like, he could create worlds. Krakoa, to me, is step one of world building. Just like, Jonathan Hickman is a world builder.
Is this whole thing that Cyclops and the mutants want to get with Franklin so they could build Krakoa, the real Krakoa, as a planet in the solar system?
And I think that also is teased in the cover of X-Men #1 when they're in space.
Wow.
I just blew your fucking mind, didn't I?
Yeah, I look like a Neanderthal. My mouth open. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
But also, to get to that point, the speculation has been, will there be a X-Men versus Fantastic Four?
Ooh.
Because Reed and Sue and Thing and Johnny aren't just going to let Franklin walk out the door and start some crazy shit.
I think for that to start, one, it's not going to be an event.
Okay.
I think it's going to be an issue where they fight. Mm-hmm. And I also think it's not going to be caused by our normal X-Men that we are familiar with, like the good ones like Cyclops and that. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be caused by other mutants.
Like the anti-hero ones?
Yeah, the anti-hero ones or Magneto, and then they're going to get involved and kind of like help defuse the situation, and then it's going to be like a three-way fight. And then Franklin's going to end up leaving on his own accord. He's like, no, you made me sit in a house with our blind aunt while you two fought Dr. Doom and Galactus, and I had the power to save you, beat them, and do everything, and you put me in timeout.
And
I'm going to go with these people. I'm going to build them a world, build us a world that we can live in, and goodbye.
And we've seen Franklin already be very much like, hey, I want to use my powers, even though we know now, which Dan Slott has added into it, when he uses his powers,
they start to fade.
So every time he uses his powers, eventually they will cease to exist.
I think what he's going to
to me, that means the X-Men have a time limit of like, hey, we need to make sure this kid builds us this world
before it's too late,
prior to him losing his powers, because we need to be set and have a backup plan and have a planet in case Earth officially is like, we don't want mutants.
This is the way to create a mutant world. Like, you get a mutant, you go to a new planet, and everything's cool.
Yeah.
So 10 out of 10 recommend this, especially with this theory crafting, guys.
And you get seeds.
Yes. Or if you're a mongoloid like me, you have to just read it digitally. I'm very upset now. I'm gonna go.
It's over the seeds, isn't it?
It's over the seeds.
It's purely about the seeds.
It's only about the seeds. Like, I'm going to go buy them again just to get the seeds.
Just to get the seeds.
I mean, really, I could just buy the seeds, but like...
They're free.
No, but like...
It's the packaging and everything.
No, man, like I could buy these flower seeds and plant them.
Totally.
But it's the packaging.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
I'm a comic fan. We collect things. You know it.
Anything
I know
that brings that world into the real world is like I'm total sucker for.
Are you going to plant them? Are you going to open and plant it?
No, I might keep those sealed just as a collector's item, and then maybe, like you said, buy the ones that are actually plants and see if I can plant them and grow them.
Good. All right, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Jersey Comic Group podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and staying in with the whole ride with us. As always, make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. The links are down below. Keep the conversation going in the comments below as well. Let us know if you have a favorite between House of X and Powers of X. If you want Swamp Thing to come back. If you care about Star Trek Picard and prequel novels. And who else do you think should be in the CW Crisis on Infinite Earth?
Everyone!
Everybody, of course. As always, I am Rob.
And I'm Chris Heller. And also, real quick, I'll be at Boston Comic-Con next weekend.
Well, this weekend.
Well, yeah, technically this weekend, yes. So if you're at Boston Comic-Con, come by and say hi. I'll be there all 3 days. It's going to be a great show. Going to get some interviews.
Is there anything you're wearing that they could point you out?
I will definitely have a backwards hat on.
No, see, right there. Real quick, you're right. But see, like, if we had merch, like, that would have been the perfect point to do it.
Well, usually my con hat is a backwards Star Wars hat. It's black and gray. So if you see me there...
You want to go get it and do it another cut?
No, not really.
Make Mikey furious?
No, I don't want to make Mikey mad.
Okay.
But, yeah, no, we have... I'll have a superhero t-shirt.
You should get a flag.
I'll be with my girlfriend, so if you see a guy around 6'2", normal to muscular build, that's me, hopefully.
You going to the gym before?
He's such a dick. Probably yes. No, totally. Now I will.
All right, guys. Stay tuned. In a day or two, or however many days it may be.
Yeah.
You're going to see another video of us. We're going to do some trailer time. We're going to talk Titan Season 2. We're going to play it because you guys love that content. And we're going to keep it going as much as we can.
Hell yeah.
So see ya.
We'll see you next time. JerseyComicCrew.podbean.com.